Welcome to the Free to Soar podcast. My mission is to inspire, empower, and equip heart-centered, mission-driven, kingdom-minded business owners to show up freely and fully as the brilliant, powerful change makers that you are, so that you can lead the business and the life of your dreams. You'll enjoy vulnerable, authentic conversations with me and other heart-centered, mission-driven leaders that will spark your heart and ignite your passion to powerfully transform you, your business, and your life from the inside out. Your next level of impact and income is about unleashing the fullness of you, reprogramming your limiting beliefs and patterns, tapping into and trusting your inner wisdom, and harnessing God's power within you so that you can unlock new possibilities in your business and your life. And this show brings it to you. Step with me into a God-powered reality wilder than your wildest dreams, with freedom, impact, abundance, and enjoyment that you were created for. Let's go. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Free to Soar podcast. And I'm excited again for our episode today, because we always have the most incredible guests. And we've got yet another one for you today. And I can't wait for you to meet her. Her name is Holly Homer, and I'll give you a formal introduction but in just a few minutes. But I want you to just get to say hello to her, or let her say hello to you. So, Holly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about talking to you today. I think we're going to have so much fun.
We will. I know. I'm very excited to dive into for everybody to hear your story and to be inspired by what you are putting into the world, because it's a beautiful thing. So, your creativity is just amazing. So, well, and speaking of, let me formally introduce you, and then we will dive right in and get started. So Holly Homer accidentally started blogging 20 years ago, and she has not stopped. She runs Kids Activities blog and is the best-selling author of 4 books. And her passion is teaching and coaching what she's learned along the way. I love that. She's recently co-founded PageWheel.com, which she'll talk more about, which solved one of her biggest issues. And that is, why is online selling so complicated? Cannot wait to hear more about that. Holly lives in the suburbs of Dallas, Texas, with her husband, her 3 boys, and her dog named Panda, another dog lover. So can't go wrong there. I'm a huge dog lover myself. And we are going to just talk about all things business and passion and creativity today, and faith. So, which we always do. So, welcome again to the podcast.
Thanks so much. And yes, if you hear snoring, that
It's
would be Panda.
Now, tell us what kind of dog Panda is.
She is a black and white Frenchie,
and my goodness,
the snoring is real.
No doubt. Do you, and you may not, but do you follow Walter Jeffrey, the Frenchie, on Instagram by chance?
No, but I'm sure I've been sent it by, all the people.
Yes. I love Frenchies. I've always wanted a Frenchie. I have 7 dogs now and 3 cats. They're all rescues. They're all the misfits that nobody wants. And I have pity, so I have the bully breed. Yeah. And I hear that Frenchies are like little tiny, miniature pit bulls, but they have their own just funny person. They're hilarious to me.
She is a participator in everything I do. And if I don't bring her to work, she will literally sit at the back door and just wait till I come home. I mean, it's so pitiful. My husband sends pictures like, why didn't you take this dog?
I know they're like little people. I just have to believe that one day there's going to be a way where we can take our dogs everywhere and do everything. I think our society is headed in that direction.
She's forcing it.
Yes, no doubt. Good girl, Panda. I love it. That's so great. I bet she is precious. So if she wakes up and she wants to stick her head up, we are happy to say hello to her too.
Good.
That's so good. But anyway, we heard the synopsis of your story, of your bio, but we want to hear from you what your story. So obviously you're a brilliant creative. But where did you just love blogging? Just love writing always? How did that start?
No. And so this is why nothing looks as it appears.
Yeah, right.
So
Ever.
I am super low tech, ever. Yeah, super, super low tech. Yeah. In fact, at that time period, I was a stay-at-home mom of itty bitty kids and super overwhelmed. I was emailing back and forth once a week with one of my dear friends from college who also kind of had little boys, and I have 3 boys. Yeah. So that kind of sets the stage. So she has boys, I have boys. Once a week, I would send her an email, and then it was every Saturday morning, and I would ask my husband to download my email because I didn't know that it just came.
Wow.
He was literally probably just opening the email.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but this is how dumb I am. So I was just every Saturday, I'm emailing her this, and this goes on for a year, because I'm pouring out my heart to her, and she's we're kind of going back and forth on that, and just, help, how you're just kind of lonely in that situation sometimes.
Yeah.
And so then one Saturday, her subject line is, I think we need to stop emailing. Huh? What? No. This is how I'm saying,
this,
stop.
Right?
No, yeah.
Yes, this is my lifeline.
I'm oh my gosh. And so I open up the email, and the next sentence says, we should start blogs. And so I didn't know what a blog was. I'd never heard of a blog. And by the way, the reason is because she was emailing someone else too.
Oh, wow.
So she was cheating on me. Yes. And so she just explained that if we just wrote these things on blogs, we could go read each other's blogs, and then I could get to know this other girl and all this kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, I don't whatever it takes, Jody. So she said, go to Blogspot and fill out the form, and then you'll have a blog. So I went to the Blogspot. Of course, I'm doing this. So I filled out the form, and it asked for the name of the blog. And so I just put June Cleaver Nirvana, because I thought,
that's so clever,
so traditional, but yet not, and so I started a blog that day called June Cleaver Nirvana. And I became a blogger, but literally had never seen a blog, did not know other people did this. And so I realized you could upload pictures, and you could put I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah. So I was excited because that was back in the scrapbooking heyday, and I was totally spending way too much money on scrapbooking. And then I was making duplicates for my mom and all this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, this is going to save me so much money on scrapbooking. So I started putting pictures on the internet. And really, in the early days, it was literally a picture and maybe a sentence about it. And so I let my mom know, and I let my grandma know, and my friend Jody. So I had three readers.
That's so great.
About 2 weeks in, it was actually 3 weeks into my blogging career. Someone that wasn't those 3 people left a comment on my blog. It was actually a girl named Megan. And I was like, I don't know who this is. And so I clicked through, and I was like, other people blog? So,
that is hilarious. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So if you're thinking that you need a 5-year plan, or you need to be super creative, no, you just have to actually put something on the internet, and then somebody's I had no idea. And so when I realized, then of course that was back in the days of blog rolls in the sidebar. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I just went through that blog roll and realized there was an early, we were the first mom bloggers, we were an early community. And some of those people on that blog roll are still some of my best friends today, because it was just oh my gosh, other people are doing this.
Yes. How beautiful. Wow. Yeah. And to pour out. Yeah. It was such a great way to express yourself, to get things out and to document, like you said, to share, and for so many other people to be able to enjoy it and appreciate it.
I
That's
literally,
interesting.
so I have a background as a physical therapist. So while everybody was
That's what I
taking
was gonna
creative
ask you.
writing,
Yeah.
I was like in the lab. So I had no, like, I'm a scientist. I'm like a writer. And
Yeah.
so that was actually, it's been good because I just started doing it every day. And if you do
Yeah.
something every day, you get good at it.
You get
Like,
good at
it's
it.
just
That's
how
right.
and so I have 20 years experience of learning on the job.
Wow. Oh, I love that. And so what were your blogs focused on at that point? And then what are they, and then how have they transitioned over the years?
Yeah, so for many years, as I wrote June Cleaver Nirvana, which was about my life with these boys.
The boys.
So the boys, it was just like, and I laughed and I was like, kind of the Seinfeld of mommy blogging, because like it was like literally about nothing. Those hours are very long, and so I would try to just write about what we did every day, and then my kids went to school, and then like I was at Carline picking up my oldest at kindergarten or first grade. And the teacher came out and like commented about something I had written on my blog. And I realized these are not my stories anymore. Like, these kids are going to be branded with all those potty training stories and stuff like that. And so it kind of panicked me because I was like, what am I going to write about? I can't be like exploiting children. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine if you're toddlers and preschoolers, but like it's their story. Like, once they're like, getting independent, it's their story. It's not mine to tell. Yeah. And so then I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Because of course I have no life outside of these children.
Oh my gosh.
So I kind of had like a little bit of a crisis because I therapeutically I needed to continue writing. And that's when I ran into Rachel. She had, Rachel Miller was writing a blog called Quirky Momma at the time. And instead of the stories about what she was doing with her kids, she was just writing about the activities that she was doing with her kids. Huh. And so I met her at a mall at like a blogger meetup where the kids were just playing in the little play. And then she's like, why don't you come up to my house? This is like, literally I met her. And she's like, why don't you come to my house for a play date? So I went. We live about 20 minutes apart. So a couple of weeks later, we were sitting in her kitchen. I'd literally been there 10 minutes. And she said, I feel like I need to sell my blog. And I said in her kitchen, after being there 10 minutes, I feel like I need to buy your blog. And it was just one of those things. I mean, it's one of those things. Yes. And so she was in the process of raising money they were doing an international adoption. Yeah. I had just a weirdly thing, you think, how do you know what a blog is worth? Well, I had just bought my partners out of a blog exactly the same size. Oh my gosh. Like a month before. You knew. Yeah. So I said to her, once I figured out the size of it, I said, I don't know. I said, this may be a crazy number to you. It may be high, it may be low, but this is what I think it's worth. And this is what I'd be willing to pay. And she said, that's exactly what I need for the adoption. So I bought Rachel's blog.
Unbelievable.
And so that was
such a God thing.
Yeah, it really was. And so what happened then is I transitioned everything into what is now Kids Activities blog. But the Quirky Momma is still on our Facebook page. Rachel wrote for me for many years. So a lot of her stuff, we worked together. And then we started another blog together that's more on that she was more in charge of and stuff like that. But through the years, we've literally been working together off and on ever since, I think it was 2012, 2011.
That is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And then had no idea what all would be created from there.
No, and Kids Activities blog supports my family to do this day.
Wow.
So it was just more.
So it is at this point more focused on kids activities then. Yeah,
so it's like fun things to do with kids and resources for parents. You'll find some of my personal stories on there, and a lot of real life parenting, like this is how we solved this, or this is how our community solved it. But for the most part, it's just more like tutorials and, recipes and stuff like that. So,
and that coaching and teaching, which you were, which
and
we talked about in your, you're pouring your heart out to help to inspire and encourage and support other other parents.
And really I feel like the internet was such a lifesaver for me in the early days of being able to connect with other people. And so that's kind of what I just wanted to have a place where it's okay to just open up your kitchen junk drawer and do something fun with your kids. It doesn't have to look all Pinteresty. You don't have to spend money on it. It's not about how the results are. It's more about just spending that quality time, that playfulness, and then also not forgetting that traditional play that has been kind of crowded out by technology and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. That's beautiful. Yeah, we need more of that. Lots more of that. Well, and tell us about then, how did you get into authoring books? And then we'll talk about how it moved into Pagewell.
Yeah, in fact, that was also kind of a Rachel thing, because she had told me that she wanted to, just in our conversations, that she had wanted to write a book someday.
Okay.
And I didn't care about a book. I was like, who would want me to write a book? My mind was in a different, but I got approached because of the blog from a publisher, and they said, hey, we want you to write a book. And my first thing back to them was, well, if Rachel can do it with me, because this is not my dream.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so they were like, sure. And so we wrote the first book together. And then in fact, all of my books are collaborative, just because it's just more fun to do things together.
It is more fun. Yes.
But yeah, you can see they're behind me here.
Sweet. So are they all parenting and kids activities related?
Yeah. So they're all kids activities, crafts, and stuff like that. Just simple things to do with your kids. And I am not a parenting expert. Let's just throw that out there. Just ask
you
my
do
kids.
something. Well, you do something for long enough, and you do it 3 times over with boys, and you might just be.
Okay, maybe it's on the job training still to this day, even though they're in their 20s and teens.
We're all on the job training all the time, that's for sure. But it's beautiful that you share, and I'm sure you share authentically, and you're just sharing. People that's what people love. We just relate. We want to relate to real life and to other people's experiences, and that's what's so beautiful about it. And you're sharing the things that you've learned and the ways that you've grown and what not to do. And
I have a long list of that.
Yes.
I'll save you a lot of time and energy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, I'm sure you've done an incredible job. Now, how old are your boys?
So my youngest is 18, and he's graduating from high school this next month. And then I have a 20 and a 23-year-old.
That's awesome.
That are both in college.
That's so good. So one's still home.
Yes. So the oldest is graduating with his master's from college this spring. The middle one is a junior in college, and then the youngest is a senior in school. So.
Sweet. Oh, I know you enjoy them so much. I
see them, they're exactly. It's kind of the opposite problem I had 20 years ago when they were within an equidistant circle of 5 feet to me at all times.
Please, can I take a breath of my own? And now you probably miss them and want them home, and want those days back. I remember
one day I hid in the bathroom, and then the little fingers came underneath the door, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it.
Yes. Oh, I just cannot even imagine.
Now I'm like, where
are
you guys? Why don't you come, talk to me?
Right.
They're like, oh, Mom, you're so weird.
Oh, goodness. I know that they're proud of you, and vice versa. I know that you've done such a beautiful job with them, and I'm sure they're great boys. But so take us further along in the story. So then how did how did your journey transition into more technology when you weren't even technologically, advanced?
This is, I mean, like, if you ever need a story of if I can't do that, you're like, no, if Holly could do it, I could do it. Because again, this is born out of a need. So on this site that Rachel and I own together, it's called One Crazy House, and it's just like hacks and tips for anybody, but it's just fun things around the house and stuff like that. And so we have like camping and how to clean and all these just tips type things. And so we're like, let's do kind of ebooks that are extensions of the content. It'd be really helpful for our readers. And then it would be another stream of income because, we put a $7 price tag on it or something like that.
Sure.
So we made a whole bunch of these, kind of about 12 or 20, I can't remember. It was at least 12 of these different things that would kind of go into like cleaning, organizing, decluttering, camping, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so, but then we're like, oh, we need to like put together like basically a funnel, even though we're only charging $7. Like, so, and I'm terrible at funnel making. I've tried, I've gone and paid a lot of money to be in coaching. Not my strength. And so, but Rachel's really good at it. Yes. So she like put it together and then, we're cloning it and all the things. And then like, but like, it's like to make a funnel, like a good funnel, it's like a lot of time and energy. And then it's kind of expensive and the software is like reoccurring every month. And then we're cloning it and we're putting in, and then things are breaking and I don't know how to fix it. And like, I hate bothering Rachel. And then I was like doing the math on it and I'm like, well, okay, like she's like 50 hours into this project. Yeah. We have the software's, several $100s a month. Like, literally, is this a good idea? Like, how many of these camping guides do we have to sell every month to even like hit like an even keel? Like, it's kind of crazy when you start doing the math. And I'm a math girl, so like that makes sense to me. And I was like, why is this so hard? Like in some cases, we're just making opt-ins. We're trying to give stuff away. It takes hours to set it up. Or if we're putting a $7 price tag on, it's a major ordeal. And then like for months, something was wrong. It wasn't delivering. And so I was just refunding 100% of the people that come through our funnel. And I'm like sending them the product anyway, because I feel bad.
Right.
So like, this is stupid hard. It's just stupid hard. Yeah. And so Rachel was like, like, you're right. Like, this is stupid hard for like what we're trying to do. That makes no mathematical sense. She goes, I think I can solve this. And so she, goes back and Rachel is a problem solver.
Yes.
So she goes away, she comes back and she goes, I have an idea, and at first we thought we were just doing this for ourselves, Sure. And then once she's like, no, I think we need to code something. And then she's like, well, why don't, like, if we're going to pay for coders, let's make a product and we'll solve this problem for everybody. Yeah. So that was 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
And, it's crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say it, so that was 2.5 years ago and like a lot of money and a lot of coding.
Yes. No kidding.
It was crazy amounts of work, but what we have today is PageWheel, and you can go in and make a product like with our templates, or you can upload your own stuff. We know what PageWheel knows what you made. So it automatically creates a sales page, a delivery email, and then all the social media that you need with AI. So, and you can go from idea to launch in literally 20 minutes or less with all the tech. It's all hooked up. Like, you don't have to mess with it. And we start at $29 or $27 a month. Yes. So like, you don't have to sell 100 of them.
Yes. Yes.
So I am like one of our most active users.
That is incredible. And so just for people out there who are, are not up to, necessarily up to speed and don't know all the, the language.
Yeah.
What kinds of, when you say, launch, launch any kind of product, any kind of service, any kind of like, what kinds of things? Give us some examples of what, things people are launching.
Yeah. So the simplest thing is like, if people are like, hey, you need to build an email list. Well, the easiest way to build an email list is to give something away people are willing to exchange for their email.
Right.
So that's probably the simplest use case of maybe you just go in and create a checklist that you're going to give away, or maybe like a tutorial of a video that you might have done, or a recipe or a small recipe book. So you can go into Page Wheel and just make that in a minute or two, and then it will automatically create the place for someone to give you their email. And then it will send it to them automatically. So you don't have to refund or worry about it. And then, and so all the way up to like people are hosting courses on it, because you can add like videos onto that thank you page. Or you could add like a scheduling link if you're a coach, so that you could actually on the front end, use it for like, schedule an appointment, or, I mean, it's very simple tech that can be used in a lot of different ways. And by the way, our customers are like showing us all the uses. That's what's so fun too.
That's what I was going to say. You're probably learning as people are creating different things. You're like, oh my gosh, I had never thought about that. Well, that's incredible. It does that too.
And this kind of goes back to my science background, is that like, and anybody who's launched a funnel in general has known like it takes so many hours to put this out, put so much money to put it out, or you pay someone to put it. And your first 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 funnels, you may get 1 or 2 sales. And then I remember that happened to me on one of my first things that I did. And I was probably about $5,000 into the whole process, and I sold three products. And like, so to me, it's a failure. I mean, it's a massive failure. Like, like, oh my gosh, this couldn't have gone more poorly. But think about if I do this on Page Wheel and I am invested less than 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Let's just go crazy. Like I spent an hour on it and I sell 3. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, it's a totally different mindset. And so what I love about it is I have an idea, and instead of sitting around trying to figure out whether it might work or not, I just go put it out there. And if people like it, then I'll keep doing it. If people don't like it, I'll be like, that didn't work. Oops. Oh, that's 20 minutes of learning.
Yes, exactly. Oh, it's a totally different story. That's amazing. And with all of the resources that it offers, it doesn't sound like there's much room for it not to work really well. I mean, most of the time it probably does, if it's a viable, something that people want.
Yeah.
But speaking of what people want and what people need, you said something a few minutes ago. You said, this came out of, all I did was see a need. And isn't that what creativity is? And isn't that what business is? I was having a conversation earlier with 2 entrepreneurs, and they were building something collaboratively that is bigger than they both already have their own businesses, but they wanted to collaborate and build something bigger and build something together. And so we were doing a vision strategy session with them. And we were just talking about like recognizing, every business comes out of recognizing someone's need, recognizing a need and solving a problem. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I solved that for me. Now I want to coach and teach other people, or I want to share that with other people to be able to solve that problem for them. And that's all business really is anyway. It's solving problems and providing solutions for people's, for problems that need solving.
Yeah, I think sometimes we overcomplicate life.
We do.
So often.
We really do.
And overthink everything, when really like one of the things that, connects us as humans are we experience the same problems, the same fears, the same, and so all these things not only are things that we can help each other solve, but that it also is a way to connect us in a way that like is human. Like
absolutely. Well, it's human,
so nice.
and it's our design. It's our divine design. I mean, that is like, but getting into the faith side of things, that's how we're created, is to collaboratively in community and in connection with each other. We're the body. I mean, we bring our gifts, we bring our experiences, we bring our strengths together, and we help each other. And it's such a beautiful thing. And, when we think about it, you're right. We make it so hard, and it's such a big thing, business, but business is, it really doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy because we follow those passions, and we follow the flow, and if we learn to trust ourselves and just go with what we see works and put it out there authentically and genuinely, and give each other the solution, that fill in the gaps for each other.
And it was like, I take that even a step further, because a lot of times, especially with a lot of our customers at Page Wheel are kind of new to business, or they're new to online business. They might be running an offline business. And so,
sure.
A lot of this is, like overcomplicated in their heads too. And because they're like, well, why would someone, you could go to YouTube and find a million videos about this. Why would they buy from me, or why? And I was like, because you are going to simplify it in a way that is completely different than someone else. That's and by the way, they have to go find it on YouTube.
Exactly.
You're going to do this in a way that will be helpful to them. And so it's like cutting through all the noise to exactly the solution that they're looking for.
Absolutely. And the other thing is your people are the people who are going to be attracted to what you have to offer, whether it's a service or a product or some of both, they are in the same situations and are attracted to your experience for a reason. And so it's this beautiful thing. And there's always demand for new solutions and greater wisdom and, new perspectives and new ways of doing things and thinking about things. And it's just the way we're designed. It's so beautiful. I love that. Yeah. So what's next? I know this is new, but where do you see this? Like, what's the big picture for you, and what's next for you?
Yeah. So I'm hoping this is kind of like the next stage as far as creating something that, we're still in the stages of adding features and stuff based on what our customers are using and needing and stuff like that. So that's like just being able to support that need that I had for so long, and I'm using it, and then helping other people use it as well. So that just probably growing on that respect. And then I still run kids activities vlog because it's of course just part of my heart. And I love the ability to reach people online in kind of a scale that is not possible in real life. I mean, I love my real life, but it's fun to be able to kind of do it on a different scale online.
No doubt. That's beautiful. Yeah. The whole world's at our fingertips.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Really cool.
It's bigger than we could have, it really is amazing. Let's talk a little bit about, because I am all about helping what I'm so passionate about because of my own story, is because I was in burnout and did everything the hard way and stayed in struggle and the grind and, was the overachiever and the performer and, for years and years and years. And now
That's such an unusual story.
I know, right? I know. It's like one of a kind. So what I have learned, is how to do it a different way. I have learned to get out of my own way and learn how to really live in, and I don't do it perfectly. I don't mean that, but live and lead from a place of, wholeheartedness and rest rather than from depletion and burden and overwhelm and, where, I was given to everybody at my own expense. And so now that's the work that I love doing, is helping entrepreneurs really find that sense of living in integrity and leading in integrity where our inside matches our outside, and so I want to ask you about that. How have you, and again, nobody does it perfectly. It's not about getting it right. It's about living congruently and living in integrity. What are some of the things that, I mean, you do have a lot going on, and that now that your boys are gone, I'm sure you've got, it's easier. It's more time to yourself. But what are some things that, what are some keys or some wisdom or even some practices that you have learned over the years to help you really establish a sense of living in integrity and wholeheartedness in your own life while running your multiple businesses?
Yeah. So I think the first one, and I would encourage anyone who's at a different stage of life than me to really take this to heart, because like I was really hard on myself, not realizing the season I was in.
Right.
So like when the kids were little, like it was like, it was like, 42 hours to bedtime kind of, you were counting down and you're like, can I make it until the bedtime? And so there was like, especially, and I was a horrible pregnant person, and I'm not a baby person. So like I would have 2 years of just like, where I did not feel like myself.
Yes.
And I would expect the creativity and all this stuff. And I'm like, I just made a human chill out on the expectation.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Like if you are in survival mode and if you have babies or toddlers, I promise you're probably in survival mode. There is no time for big ideas or like creative endeavors or heartfelt understanding of anything. You're like, no, like I need to make sure these kids are eating and sleeping. And by the way, if I get some food and sleep, it'd really be really helpful. So that is like, you have to be like, I don't know, give yourself grace. We talk to ourselves in ways that we would never talk to a friend.
Absolutely.
And we've got to stop that.
Yes. Yes.
So even now, like, I'll be like, oh, I should have done this. I'm like, stop. Would I yell at Connie for that? No, I wouldn't yell at Connie for that. Like, stop yelling at yourself for that. So realizing the season. And so, yes, like there were seasons when I didn't get much done. But yet I tried to do something every day, even if it was 5 minutes, even if it was 1 minute, even if it was 10 minutes. Because just I always laugh and say that the movie that changed my life was What About Bob? Because Bob, like he's like doing baby steps to everything. Baby steps to the elevator because he's afraid of the elevator. Baby steps to the sailboat because he's scared of sailing. So like baby steps is just like ingrained in my brain. So like even if everything is breaking loose in my home, like just if I can just take one baby step in whatever direction and just realize I'm going to shut the computer down and go back. And that's the other thing is a separation of computer and real life, and being really accountable to that. So another tip that I used when my kids were like little, because I ended up building this business while homeschooling and raising children. Now they're very independent homeschoolers. Let me just throw that out there. I have a very different philosophy than a lot. They're very good at independent learning. But part of that was when mom was working, because my computer was in the middle of the living room, so like I could watch, is that like I had a timer that I faced outward. So like I'm going to work for 20 minutes and I'd turn it out so the kids could see the 20 minutes and then they would run by to see how much time, and they knew not to bother mom. But as soon as that timer went off, mom's theirs. Yes. But then like I had to be accountable to that.
Yes.
Because once you train them that way, but the good news is if you institute that, like they'll start solving their own problems, and then you can start making that longer and longer. Or they don't show up, like the timer goes off and nobody's there. And I'm like, all right, setting that timer again, So but if you can give them, because people who are watching you work, they have no idea what you're doing. Like they just, you could be playing, Angry Birds for all I know. So like, and you're like, no, this is really important. I have to do this. But to them, it's just, you're ignoring them. So like, if you can give them a way to to have that not be a black hole that mom's not coming out for 20 hours because they don't know if you're going to be off in 5 minutes or in 20 hours. And sometimes our 5 minutes turns into 20 hours if we're not accountable.
That is so good. I love that. And being accountable to others, but also to ourselves, like you said, and making sure that we're giving ourselves the breaks that we need and treating ourselves with kindness and compassion, just, and because if we're not our own best advocate, our greatest advocate, then who's going to be? And really I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'll say too, the timer was really helpful for me too, because then I'm like, oh, I can get this done in 5 minutes. Yes. And then when the timer goes off and I'm still not done, I'm like, okay, I said I could do this in 5 minutes. What's wrong with, let's shut it off. So it helps you stop the scroll or get lost in the email or whatever you're doing too.
Yeah,
so it can be really helpful.
Oh, that is great. I'm actually going to try that with my mom. My mom lives with me now and she's my personal assistant. We took care of my dad together through it. She needed my help. And so I moved them into my house. And long story short, he had Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And so after he died 3 years ago, she just stayed with me and it gives her a sense of purpose. And she's just a go-getter and has lots of life left. And so I just said, okay, stay and be my personal assistant and you take care of the house and the animals and she helps me with my retreats and my, all my work. And so it's great. But she gets frustrated with me because she's like, I need to tell you things, as my assistant, she needs to give me updates and things. But when I'm home, it's like, that's my time to write or get, be creative. And so I've got to do that with her. And I've got to, because that we have the same problem. She's like, you're ignoring me and I'm not, and you're right. And I'm like, can you not see that I'm busy? Can you not see that I'm like really doing something important here and I need to focus? Because if you interrupt me, I can't be creative. But I'm going to try that with her.
Yeah.
So she's going to be watching that timer. But anyway, that was beautiful wisdom. I appreciate you sharing that. Well, so, and going into your, your relationship, you're obviously, you're a Christian and how is your faith? How have you leaned into your faith and, as a business owner? And how has that changed the way that you have approached your business or led your business as a Christian business owner?
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is probably one of the harder questions I've been asked today.
Yeah. Probably,
it's because it's a really interesting thing and I see this through everything I do is I learn through failure.
Yes.
Which is so hard. Hard. I mean, like, Kerrigan is like, but you learn so much when you fail at something.
But if we don't judge failure and we see it as learning opportunity, like you said, it is a learning opportunity. It's an invitation.
It really is. And so I see, and I can separate it from my feelings and my ego a little bit better in my business life. Because I'm like, oh, well, because I failed amazingly at that, I learned this and this and this, which took me to that next level or whatever that. Yeah. And then when you talk about that, when it's like personal or in like your relationship with God, like those failures are way more personal and way less like analytical and stuff like that. And so I think, first of all, I don't think I could have even started writing without having help, divine help. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then and then it was, that therapy was that I was always like, and I had been, we had waited 10 years before we had kids, not necessarily voluntarily. And so I was a little bit older mom, I didn't have kids until I was in my 30s. And then I had wanted them for a really long time by the time they came. And then they were kids.
Right. Yes.
So there was always a struggle in my life with like being so thankful to be in this position, but yet it's a really overwhelming position. So I think it was literally divine intervention that even led me to this, because what happened for me when I wrote every day, and I wrote every day, is that when things went crazy in the house, I was able, instead of to be in that reactionary place, that first of all, I was a little older, so I think that was good, because I think you just learn patience as you get older, and just through experience. But also when like crazy things would happen, or like it was so frustrating, I would be able to step back and think, how am I going to write about this in a way that has a silver lining? Like, because I didn't want to be like the kind of the complainy mommy blogger, although we didn't know that we were mommy bloggers back then. But because I didn't want to whine about my life, because I have an amazing life. But then so it gave me that perspective to really, and like, I didn't think it was divine intervention at the time. Like, and I don't know, like, it was a pretty rocky patch for me at that point. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about God is like, he's not going to give up.
Right.
So like, no matter what you think your situation is, like he's working on your behalf, whether you admit it or not. So I'm really thankful for that. And I think it probably took me until a few years ago to even admit that or realize that.
Wow. That's beautiful. I love that.
But like, and so I was raised in a very, very conservative religion, where basically my whole childhood, it was an amazing childhood, but it was very, very strict and very, very rule-based. Yeah. And so it was one of the things that I just like, while I had the most beautiful childhood, I couldn't see recreating that for my children. Right. No. And so there was a lot of struggle in that. But one of the, and of course, my dear mom, who, like a lot of my actions, would hurt her because she didn't understand. Sure. And I always said, Mommy, if you believe, then that, the kids may go away, but they'll come back. That's right. And I was like, I don't know what that looks like for us, but I believe that. And even when I was struggling, I still put my kids, we did a half homeschool, so we did a classical education, which was Bible based. Of course, I knew all the verses, and I knew all the, so it was a very natural thing to bring my children in less into like they're in the church world, but more through the education side, because I'm a scientist. It makes more sense as far as that. Yeah. It's how you relate. Sure. Yeah. And so like our path was very non-traditional. And the funny thing is like, and this is so sweet, is I just started going back to church just recently because my youngest was going by himself, and I didn't want him to go by himself. And so, it's just a really lovely thing. And I just think that there's just like everything else, there's seasons for everything. And then I have a better appreciation today because of that wandering through the wilderness for 40 years.
That's it. But his goodness is right there with us through the whole thing. The whole time. And he doesn't need us to get it right. He doesn't need us. That's religion, not relationship. He doesn't need us to do it a certain way or figure it out. I mean, there are there are truths, there are things that, but that's what's so beautiful about him is he lets us have our process, and it's all about it's all about us breaking free and trying to find that inner freedom that we are looking for, that, and find our own, get that healing and live true to who he's made us to be, true to our design, our natural design. And that's what I see in your story is, you were just honoring that. You were finding your way.
I've always had, with the foundation, I always had that, kind of that foundation of moral compass because of the way I was brought up and stuff like that. But, which, obviously is God given. And then, of course, but then I also would encourage those of you who don't know that you're witnessing is that people are watching. Yeah. And one of the things that brought me back, to actually being willing to go step foot into a church was that over the last few years, it became really apparent that there was a group of people, faith-based people, who were living a much happier life than than people who didn't have faith.
Yes.
And I was like it just, who would I want to align with? Who would I want to hang out with? And it was just very, very clear to me.
Yeah.
And so people are watching. You don't have to say it out loud.
That's right. Yes.
In fact, your actions are way louder than your words ever would be.
That's so beautiful. And it is so true. Yeah. Because if we do say, if whatever we say, if it's not being backed up by our actions, it's going to be, going to do more harm than good anyway. So, well, I know we've got to end for today, but thank you so much for sharing. And I want to just see if there's anything that you haven't said. You've said so much that's been inspiring and encouraging, really deep things that are great takeaways for people. And I love everything that you've said, but is there anything else that, maybe that business owner out there who, isn't where they, this needs encouragement of some sort, or is there anything that you want to say to that person out there who, is not where they thought they should be, or is not, maybe is being hard on themselves, or, are they're in the struggle right now. They're in the hard. Yeah. And they can't see out. Maybe they're in the, I guess that is the wilderness. They're still in the wilderness in 40 from whatever capacity.
And sometimes 40 years seems really long.
Yeah. 40 years is a long time anyway. But sometimes it seems like 80 or 120.
I think it's twofold. Like, first of all, oftentimes you're really hard on your own journey, and then you're just assuming everybody else has it together.
Oh, so
and that's
good.
so not true. And by the way, if you sat down and asked them, most likely they would admit that they don't have it together. And then all of a sudden you'd be like seeing all the commonality. So
that's right.
Stop looking outward for that. Because the comparison trap is real.
It is.
But then the other part of that is one of the reasons why your experience is unique and amazing is because everybody got there a different way.
That's right.
And if we literally, if there was a perfect roadmap to everything, you and I would be billionaires. We would have sold it, and everybody would have done it, and we'd have all these testimonials.
Exactly. I talk about that all the time. It's like, we want someone to give us the formula, the strategy to get it right, to, the right way. And there's not a right way. The way's inside of us.
Yeah. Don't stop with the expert following. And become an expert on your own business.
That's it.
And
that's it.
And by the way, when you look back, because yes, I'm an overnight success of 20 years.
Me too.
There's a lot of things I did that didn't work out. A lot, more than I can count, quite honestly. Yeah. And so, but every single thing was a necessary stepping stone to get to where I am today, to be able to tell the story that I tell today. Absolutely. And so if you're trying to shortcut that, you're cheating yourself, and you're also cheating your eventual customers or students or anything like that. Now, I also believe in ROI. So sitting down and saying, am I wasting time on this, or is this something that actually is going to move me in a way towards something? I think that's always a conversation to have. But beyond that, once you say, no, it's worthy, then throw yourself into it. And yes, it may be in the completely wrong direction for your eventual business, but you can gain momentum and change course a lot faster if you're in motion. So I just say, implement, and it will lead you where you need to go.
Oh, I love that. And hold it loosely so you can, and learn to trust yourself, and that the answers are within you, and that your journey is yours and it's right for you. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Well, we really appreciate you being here. You've been such a joy and a light. And you guys, I will make sure that she's given me some things to share with you. You've got some free things that you've shared, and then I'll make sure that the links to your blog and to PageWheel. It's pagewheel.com, but, and that are all in the show notes. So we'll get all that to you. So,
I love it.
thanks again. And we just really appreciate all that you've shared with us today. And what a beautiful journey.
Thank you. And thanks for letting me share today. This was super fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you guys, we will see you right back here on the next episode of Free to Soar podcast with another amazing guest. And thank you. And thank you for being here. If this has inspired or encouraged you in some way, hopefully in a lot of ways, then I hope that you'll share this with somebody that you know could really use the encouragement and the wisdom that was shared today. And we'll see you right back here next time. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining me today on the Free to Soar podcast, where we empower and equip you to lead the business and the life of your dreams with freedom, impact, enjoyment, and abundance. I look forward to our next episode together, and I invite you to subscribe to be notified of new episodes as they are released. Please share this or your favorite episode with a friend or a loved one, and I'd love it if you'd leave a review on iTunes and Spotify.